Friday. We made it another great week. It's beautiful across the country. I think it's pretty steamy out, but y'all don't know because you're booking loads right now. We are excited to have you. I have a very special episode for you. For those of you who are entrepreneurs and you're just naturally curious about the technology in our industry and you want to know how to expand your capacity, how to do better at sourcing carriers, this is the episode for you. I'm very excited to introduce our leader and CEO, but give me 1 second. First, I got a little special thing in the mail, y'all. I got OTR Solutions. Look, it's a Yeti. It's pretty. I actually had to fight my husband to get this. And I was like, yeah, there's nothing inside yet. But soon there's going to be beer in here, you guys. But thank you, OTR Solutions. You guys know it used to be OTR Capital, and they sent this to me because now it's OTR Solutions. They're offering solutions to carriers and small, large, medium-sized carriers. I love OTR. Y'all know that's one of Kevin Nolan's companies over in Atlanta. Great people. The other thing I wanted to tell you guys about is that I released my product. You know that I did it last week, carriersure.com. You can get a free trial. You can try it out instead of working through all that dense data on those old websites when you're trying to figure out whether you should hire a carrier or not, or how's the carrier going to perform for you. My application does it in 2 seconds. So you can try it out. And I want you to know one thing that I want to tell you. It's very important. You can report carriers for free forever, and you can review the reports for free forever. What do you report carriers for? Double brokering, insurance, hostage load, cargo claims, fraud, theft, and suspicious activity. So go on over to carriersure.com and you will see everything there for you, easy to understand. Now, let's introduce our CEO. I'm very excited to have Anthony join us. Anthony from Parade, thank you for joining us. Thank you. I was really excited about this episode because I am so curious. What are you guys doing over there at Parade? How are you?
I'm doing well, and thanks for having me on, Cassandra. I'm excited to be on the show.
Were you like, oh no, what is she up to now? Why am I the target of this episode?
Are
you worried or were you okay?
I'm excited. I've seen a lot of the amazing guests you've had on the past, and just excited to help have our conversation here. Also excited about what you're working on, and I think we're gonna have a fun conversation here.
I have this huge list of questions for you because this is what happened. I started my company not too long ago, like a year ago, I think. I started working on the MVP. And I was talking to a lot of my beta users. And the one company that kept coming up was Parade. People would, because when people start talking to you about one software, they start telling you about this, and I use this for this and this for that. And they kept talking about Parade. And they're like, I love it. And I knew Ryan Schreiber loves your company too. And he's a good friend of mine. He's always told me it's a great company. But I kept hearing it. I'm like, I gotta get this guy on the show. I have to figure out what the secret sauce is. I'm really excited for you. There's a good buzz going on about your company. So I creeped on you on the internet. So you're a California native and not from freight. So how did you get into freight?
Yeah, California native, and originally from more of the technology space. And in a prior life, I worked as an engineer at Uber. I built out all their background check automation software, loved the growth, loved the amazing use case of just how their technologies created so much new opportunities and value. And so really getting into freight and how we got into freight 7.5 years ago, I met one of my co-founders. His name is Preet. His uncle drives a truck. And so we thought, all right, this is crazy. This is a very, a lot of old processes out there. And we thought, all right, it makes sense. Let's go build Uber for trucking. And so tried that. We failed. We ended up building a freight brokerage, and it was a huge learning experience. We were out sitting on a Sunday afternoon, taking check calls, and really just really got into this industry head first, not knowing much at all. But over the years, what we learned was that, look, these freight brokers, there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of great people out there. and what they really need are just better tools. And so we really ended up, we sent that freight brokerage business, and then shifted gears into, look, we created a lot of cool technologies for ourselves to operate, and trying to think through, how do you talk to a carrier over text or over email and do that in a more scalable way? How do we build these relationships faster? And eventually we carved ourselves out into creating a new set of solutions. We call it capacity management. But in essence, it's how do we help these brokers have the best tools to go buy and sell truckload capacity online? And it starts with the carrier relationship. It starts with understanding who their carriers are, and then escalating it further on, all right, what tools do we need to then communicate with the carriers digitally? And then how do we transact with the carriers digitally? How do we understand whether it's their core lanes, whether it's their service levels? How do we all wrap that into one single platform for our broker customers to ultimately, how do we find trucks faster? How do we help them automate some more of their business and focus on the relationship building? And then at the end of the day, use data to grow their business. And so I think we've...
And that's the key word I heard a lot, was data with your company. And people saying, like, it truly has changed the way they source carriers, has sped everything up and made it so much easier.
There's a lot to unpack there on the data piece, on how do we help our customers find data, because there's data all over the place. There's data within their email inbox, there's data within their TMS, there's data on the load boards, and how do you put that into one streamlined interface, one single workflow, so that the broker can ultimately, look, I just need to find the best truck for every single load and make sure that we're driving towards building a better relationship.
And how did you decide the balance between, let's not overcomplicate it? Because I know that often, now I'm learning, you can't overcomplicate things for a lot of your customers and users. And with that much data and everything that you guys do, how are you handling the balance between, like, don't give them too much, guide them, lead the horse to the water?
Yeah, and I come from this technology background where all this data is really cool. And for example, these carrier profiles that we're trying to source for the brokers, their challenge is, how do we move these one and done carriers out to more recurring carriers? And the challenge that they have, though, is that the data that they're acquiring is pretty limited. They got maybe 2 loads that they did with them in the last 90 days. That's not a lot of data to work off of, and maybe they'll try calling them. That takes time. They might have gotten data from the different load boards out there, and then too much data to what you're saying is, all right, well, Parade has done this exploration into all the different pieces of data that we can try to find the carrier, the load boards, some search history that the carrier might have done, because if they searched for something, maybe they're interested in that lane. And that's a signal. And then we take it even further, where we send a lot of emails for our brokers. So for the brokers, we send these catered emails to the carrier saying, hey, I saw that you did freight out in Dallas to Florida over the last 2 weeks. Here's maybe 3 or 4 recommendations based off of that. And then we send these recommendations, but then the carrier clicks that email. They click this specific load out of the 5. We showed them a van and a van or reefer load. They click the van one. Okay, maybe they're interested in the van load. And so we go down this rabbit hole of, all right, well, maybe the clicks are great data, and the open events are data. And so we come all through that, and you're to show that directly to a carrier sales rep. Whoa, that's too much information. What am I going to sift through 1,000 options here that may or may not be relevant for me? And so that's where our team comes in. That's where the product team has to really work with our data science team and try to boil this down into a number and ultimately a recommendation on, hey, dude, of the 1,000 data points that we found that maybe people have interest in this lane at this point in time, these 3 are the ones to go after. And we've actually already done the outreach for you, but just to let you know, like, this is who we're targeting. And so it has been this balance of, like, what do we truly want to show and expose out to the carrier sales rep, And also, and at the end of the day, it's also our customers' data as well. And so some of the what I love about this industry, there is a ton of technologists within it, folks that know how to use Power BI or Tableau and all these different business analytics tools, and maybe they actually do want data. And so we actually store that data for them. They can pull it out if they want to, start running their own analytics on it. But for the daily carrier sales rep use case, our job is to, how do we simplify that down, boil it down to something easy so that they can just find the best trucks for their loads.
I didn't expect you to come in and tell me as part of your journey that you ended up being a broker in freight. Like, that blows my mind. But at the same time, that's probably why the product is so good, because you've sat in that damn seat and you know exactly what your customers, like, you know, their exact pain points. You've been through it, you lived through it. What does your co-founder's father, by the way, think about you helping brokers? Is he a broker hater, or is he okay? He's like, oh God, you were supposed to fix my trucking problems, and instead you went and fixed the damn broker's problems.
Well, I think we see this shift across drivers towards going digital. There's some that are still, that will take some time to adopt, but
yes,
in essence,
are you seeing a shift?
We have seen a shift. And so I think if you see this shift towards more digital, Preet's uncle, case in point, is one of those examples where, look, the Uber Freight app is really easy to actually go book freight directly through this application. Why aren't all these other freight brokers out there able to provide that same digital, consistent experience? And hey, this is the essentially this customer vendor relationship, and how do we make it so that it's best in class and make it really easy to do business? Why am I on hold on the phone call waiting for the call queues to go down at the broker when I can just go self-service and I just want to move some freight? And so I think we see that already with adoption on our tools and towards digital activity, and we hope to continue to push that across all the brokers out there and enabling them to go digital.
So let's go back to the beginning, just because I'm very curious about how the story continued. So you're working like this freight brokerage, and you start to see the opportunities and what you could develop for the industry and problems that you can solve. How long until you guys made your first hire and you started feeling good about the revenue coming in the door?
For the brokerage business, or for this current business that we're in?
No, brokerage is good. Like, brokerage is a good liquid business depending on the time of the year. About for your platform.
For the platform.
Wait, are you guys still a broker?
We are not. We shut down the brokerage back in 2017, and then made this huge pivot towards technology only and serving tools for the freight brokers. But 2020 of Q2 is really when we found our fit, and it was just the core team, the founding team, and a few of our early employees just trying to figure out, all right, we've clearly created something new. We started off with this email reading tool that we use natural language processing, where these brokers received emails from the truckers saying, hey, I got a truck in Dallas. And so we built this algorithm that will read the emails, store that as another piece of capacity data for our customers.
Cool.
And that's where we got our start. And then the platform started evolving after that. Hey, well, you need a system to manage this capacity data. And then there's other avenues to acquire capacity data. And we just built more and more and more. And it wasn't until 2020 where we were like, hey, look, we're really onto something here, where this is the full solution of acquiring capacity data, but then also presenting that back to how do we enable this to get back in front of the carriers, to get a transaction going, enable them to self-serve, and ultimately drive more digital freight. And after that, we started building out the core team some more, but kept it lean. We've brought in really great leaders. I'm really excited for the team that has joined us over the past 18 months prior to our Series A round. And then after that, we did our Series A with Menlo Ventures, really great firm, love working with them. And that has really enabled us to expand our team since. And it's actually kind of crazy where the team build has gone from, we have this all hands slide. All hands is this weekly town meeting within the company to discuss key updates. But at the end of the last year, we were celebrating, all right, we went from 10 to 25 people throughout 2021. This is great. This is huge, which was huge for us because we've been so small for so long, just the founders and a handful of employees. And then suddenly over the last 5-6 months, we've scaled out to 70 people, which is just a little bit crazy. Kind of have to pinch ourselves every now and then, but it's been very exciting. We think there's a lot of opportunity on what we're helping to do and enabling these brokers to go digital.
Yep. Okay, so what was the most difficult feature or offering that you guys had to develop and figure out?
We have a lot of freight tech partners that integrate into our solution. Our approach has been, so many different companies are working on really hard problems. Visibility, for example. There are these load boards out there that are constantly innovating and bringing digital activity there. And so the challenge in building is not only building the tools and the technology and applications and workflows, which is a challenge in itself. How do we find the right streamlined use case? But the challenge for us over the last 2 years is working with the existing ecosystem of so many great companies and making sure that they fit into where we think technology is headed for all freight brokers. And so we've partnered with some of the best in class capacity networks out there. For example, DAT, for example, Project 44. They've all got these networks of carriers, whether it's through visibility data or it's through just a traditional load board that's going digital now. How do we ensure that these interactions are digital, that we are moving the industry forward and enabling people to do business easier, being more transparent? And I think that leadership was not only just through product, but then also working with these partners hand in hand and helping them understand and them hearing them out on where they wanted to go and come towards a joint solution together. And so I think we're excited for all the partners that we've been working with. We're excited all the progress we've made. And I think we'll continue to define how we shape out the future of freight together.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me what you think the future of freight is. Because you said specifically you pick the partners that you think are heading in the direction that you think freight is going.
We see this world where people should be able to manage thousands of relationships with technology. I think today, top carrier sales reps at firms, it's 20, 30, maybe even 50 really, really great relationships with the truckers that they serve or work with and helping, hey, let's get these consistent lanes going. We have trust in how we serve these specific shippers. And how do we help these people do even more of that? We're only focused on that problem, where how do we help brokers find and book the best trucks for every single load and do that at scale? And so we think the future is this parade terminal-like interface and enabling them to see that data. And to your points earlier, how do we simplify all these complex relationships on not only availability of the truck, but also can I actually work with them and do I have a good relationship with this trucker or trucking company, and scale out to 1,000. Why can't people be managing thousands of carrier relationships per day? And we're nowhere near that today, but we're gonna continue perfecting the art of what does a simplified workflow look like. Why can't I just understand these are my 100 top carriers and things are running on autopilot, and when exceptions arise, jump in, work on the relationship. And so I think we're going to keep building towards this future where people can do just far more freight per day And I think technology is what's going to enable that to happen.
Have you had are some of your users or customers, are they shippers as well? Or is that a future market for you that you're thinking about, or not at all?
Our customers are the freight brokers. So we only have freight brokerage customers. We do think that in order to enable brokers to truly succeed, we need to help them go win more business digitally. And so today, Parade at its core is, hey, how do we help brokers find the best carriers for their loads?
Mm-hmm.
But it's also very interlinked with, well, can you find the right loads for your own carrier network as well? And so we get very interested in how do we take this capacity data that each broker has, and each broker has a regional presence that's better than other freight brokers in certain specialties. And so how do we help them connect to shippers faster in a more digital way? And we think that that is also part of what the future looks like for freight.
Bouncing around a little bit on topics because I did want to go back to this. But how did you decide that you wanted to shut down the brokerage? Because there are other companies who use logistics companies, the logistics side of their business is revenue to build their software and their future endeavors. But you had to let that go, and then you had to go out and raise money too. Was there a part of you that was like, why don't we just keep this going to fund the software development and sales? What was that like, going through that whole decision making process?
We operate with incredible focus, and so I think having multiple business lines and I think that's one part of it. Backing up a bit, we just didn't see that freight brokerage was a solution for us. I think we didn't see how we just didn't see how this particular opportunity was different from building a regular freight brokerage with other tools out there that maybe if you spent all your time perfecting, another company could then have that opportunity to bring new technologies into the space. And so I think shutting it down was important just because, one, we did no longer believe that this was the pathway forward in transforming the entire industry. Two, I think no broker would ever trust a technology company that also has a brokerage. And lastly,
good point.
Pure focus on just let's go solve big problems, but only one big problem. For us, that's now become, how do we just help these brokers buy and sell truckload capacity online?
Yep, I love it. Are you going to move into any other modes? Partials, LTL, ocean, anything else?
Just truckload,
Truckload's enough.
We've got a long way to go. Truckload is
the most
huge.
Difficult and is enough.
It's difficult, and I think we've got so much opportunity where today our top customers are automating 30% of their freight using Parade. And so automating means the carriers can go self-service, transact on the load. There's really just a person monitoring everything. They don't have to actually do anything. And how do we push that boundary forward? We've got so much more innovation needed to get to 50%. So much more innovation needed to get to 75, and then maybe one day 95%. And so we're going to spend the years here working on this problem on how do we help these brokers truly go digital with the tools that we're making.
Last question for you, even though I have like a million of them, but I didn't realize I was running out of time so quickly. Actually, it's going to be a more difficult one for you, I think. So you're growing, you just talked about how over the past 6 months, you've been growing really fast. What's your plan for maintaining your culture? If you have one, or if you're still establishing one, it's up to you how you want to define that. But I know sometimes with big growth, it's difficult to hold on to culture.
Yeah. The culture constantly changes. And that's what I think is exciting about this business, where we continue to bring in amazing, great people to the team. And we started off being super, a lot of hustle. We had a lot of integrity. We like to think unconventionally. But as we grow, there's going to be more different ways of operating with each other, just working with each other. And I think the way we've divided it up is we think about it in terms of, look, we're going to redefine culture every 6 to 12 months. We have new people. It's important that we work in ways with how new folks want to work as well. We ideate on this together, and then at the end of the day, we're still here because we're trying to change freight. And so that's, at the end of the day, for our customers. We think that we have to empower every single one of these people in freight to be empowered with our tools, and always think with the long haul in mind. And I think with those pillars in mind, that's how we end up ranking decisions, how we ended up, if there is conflict, we go down to these pillars and try to understand, all right, well, is this truly going to take us to where, if I'm working on something right now, 3 years from now, is it going to have that kind of big impact that we were hoping for? And if so, great. If not, let's talk about some more thinking needed. How do we continue to work on that together, and just try, is there room to expand the culture and how we value our priorities?
I love it. I think people are going to love you, even your own, obviously your own employees, but other people too, for that answer. I thought you'd struggle a little bit more with that answer. I'm disappointed. I was like, I need to throw them a difficult one, at least one. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for letting us have a glimpse into your world. I know you are very, very busy. You guys are growing fast. We are fortunate to have you here and keep on benefiting our industry, because I know that you're doing a lot of great things. And for those of you who want to reach out to Anthony, he's easily found on LinkedIn. You can also go to Parade. I think it's Parade.ai, actually, which I like the
correct.
AI. I know a lot of people get annoyed and they're like, oh, AI, why can't you just .com? .com is boring. I like the AI. It sounds good. But thank you, Anthony, and everybody out there. Have a great weekend. Make sure to connect with Anthony and learn more about Parade. It'll be worth your time. I have heard myself that it's a very good product, so let me know if you disagree. That would be interesting. Have a great weekend.
Whatever your shipment, no matter the mode of transport, the real-time location and condition of your shipment matter.